Welcome to Biological Evolution. It's Biology 3301. I'm Dr. Matthew Terry, and I am your instructor for this course. Because of the pandemic, of course, this will be an online course. It is an asynchronous course, meaning that you can engage and do the material on your time frame. There are still deadlines. You will need to complete material by those deadlines, and we'll look at the calendar here in a little bit. But you don't need to do them at any specific time during the day. So you'll have a lot of flexibility as to when you complete those assignments. So the purpose of this video is to walk you through the material that you have available for the course, how the course is going to work, and hopefully give you a good understanding of how you can be successful this semester. So all of the course will be administered via Blackboard. So when you log onto Blackboard, you should see a list of all of your courses, and you will be either in section 92L or 93L. I have two sections of biological evolution that I'm teaching this semester. They'll both be fairly identical, but so this orientation video applies to both courses. So when you click on the link, you are going to have a list of important items that are on the left-hand side menu here of Blackboard. And we're going to look at those, most of them, in turn today and talk about how you will engage with material in the course. So the first one, Syllabus and Calendar. Let's open up the syllabus. It's a Word document. You can print one if you'd like, or you can just use the digital version. So my contact information is here, information about the textbook. I always have students ask if they need the textbook. It's not absolutely essential. Everything that's on exams we will talk about in the lectures and go over in other material. However, I highly recommend it. It will give you a good background for preparation coming into the lectures. It will also give you a resource to go to when you have questions or to explain further in detail about some of the topics that we'll be talking about. My office is here on campus. I will be there frequently, but I will also be often off campus doing remote teaching and work. If you need to contact me, your very best way to do that is via email. Especially during the semester, I check emails multiple times during the week, usually even on weekends, once or twice during the day. But multiple times each day during the weekdays. So you can contact me there by email. That's your very best way to get a hold of me. Now, in addition to the material on Blackboard, which again is asynchronous and you can engage with as your schedule allows, I will also hold a regular Zoom office hour. There's no set material for that office hour. It's not required, but it is there and you should take advantage of it if you want to ask questions, if you want to go over a worksheet assignment, ask questions on quizzes or exams, review material from that week's lectures or exercises. That's what that office hour is for. You can follow this link. I will be there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 9:30 to 10:30. Now, if that does not work for your schedule, please send me an email, make an appointment. I can do other times also as needed. But if that does work for your schedule, please log on then. Be aware I also have a section of another course, and the students will be using that office hour also. Typically, it's not really an issue. Occasionally, there'll be 3 or 4 students in at a time. If it gets to be too crowded, we may separate them out. Okay, so just make use of that. I find that is underutilized and is a really great way for students to engage with the material and also engage with the instructor and pick my brain, talk to me about things that are of interest to you or things that are confusing and you don't understand, you need more clarification on. Okay, I'll let you read through the course objectives, fairly straightforward. Evolution is really a cornerstone or maybe a foundational class for all of biology. You've probably already had some evolution in introductory courses, maybe even going back to high school, but we're going to be going into them in more detail. All right, there are 4 main elements of this class by which you will be assessed for your grade. The first 2 are listed here, exams and quizzes. There are 4 midterm exams and then also final, so 5 total exams. All are weighted equally and all will go into your exam component of the grade. Now, these are administered online through Blackboard. So what that means is, and it's a balancing act, there are some fairly strict and even somewhat draconian pieces of software that can have very strict rules about how you take the exam. Those have drawbacks, and I don't like some of those drawbacks. So it's not an optimal solution, but you will be able to take it online with your open notes, access previous material. You can do that. There won't be limitations as to the material that you're accessing while you're taking an exam. So that makes it much easier than it might be otherwise. However, there will be a time limit. So if you're trying to research and learn every single question as you go, it's just not going to work. You do need to learn the material as you go. So that's a fairly strict time limit. 90 minutes, it's like a regular class period exam. Most students finish it in about half to 2/3 of that time, but some students do take a little bit longer. So you will have a time limit of 90 minutes plus an extra 10 minutes as kind of a leeway. So be aware of that and plan appropriately. Make sure you are prepared. In addition, there will be no backtracking on questions. This is to limit the unfortunate outcome of this style of exam, is that there are going to be some people that try to cheat, to collaborate. And because it is kind of open material, you really can use whatever material you want, but please do not collaborate. So you should not have multiple people all working on your exam. It should be your own work with those open materials. So you won't be able to backtrack, and in addition, there are pools of questions. So everyone will get an exam of similar difficulty, but no single student will get the exact same exam. Questions will be given from those pools, and so students will have different exams, and that does limit the amount of collaboration cheating that occurs. There is no perfect system. Again, it's a balance between how strict and draconian we want to be in this online environment versus allowing students a little bit of flexibility. And I've chosen to lean more towards the flexibility. We'll continue that unless it becomes a major problem. Okay. The format for the exams is 50 multiple choice, true, false, some matching questions, but there will be 50 questions for 100 points total on each exam. The final exam will be comprehensive. It's composed of all questions from all 4 of the previous exams. Now, with that said, about half of those questions on average for each student will be exact questions that they have seen before, because they are composed from those pools of questions on those previous exams. So maybe half or so will be questions you've seen before. The other half will be over the material you've learned, but will be, a question, a newly constructed question, or one that you maybe didn't get on a previous exam. So that is a balance for that final exam. It is comprehensive, requiring you to make sure that you are aware of and know the material for the course, but also gives you a little bit of a leeway. If you've reviewed your previous exams, know which ones you got right, why you got them right, and which ones you got wrong, and what the correct answer is, then you'll be okay. And you will, after the exam due date for each of the midterm exams, you will be able to go back over and review your answers for those exams on Blackboard. Okay. The final exam is on Monday, December 7th. It's actually, I've given you 2 days, so I'll change this. We'll look at the calendar here in a little bit. So you may take that final exam all day Monday. Sorry, this was not updated. So I believe, we'll look at the calendar here in a little bit, but I believe it's that first week in April. So I think it's April 4th and the 5th. We'll look at that here in just a little bit. Okay. Well, in fact, let's take care of that now. So in addition to the syllabus, you also have a link to the calendar here. And the calendar is simply a PDF document that goes day by day in all of the material. Although the course is asynchronous, I've set Tuesday and Thursdays for the material. If you'd like to do it on Monday and Wednesday, or Monday and Thursday, or even Monday and Friday, or Tuesday and Friday, that's fine. My one recommendation is do not try to jam in multiple. So if you don't do anything all week and then try to do everything on Friday, that's not going to be a good way to learn. So I've tried to space it out. You don't need to adhere to this calendar exactly, but it is a really good guideline that will pace you as you go through the course. So it's set up that way. I've set it up as a Tuesday, Thursday course as if we were meeting, although it will be delivered asynchronously. Okay. However, on the right-hand side, you need to pay attention to all of these due dates. So these things in purple are things that need to be completed on the date they are listed. So we'll review those here in just a little bit, but let's take a look at final exam. Oh, it's the May 3rd and May 4th. So I'll change that and update the syllabus here. So I had the wrong month, but Monday, May 3rd through Tuesday, May 4th. You can take the exam anytime those days. Now, when we look at the deadlines on the calendar, every deadline is by the end of the day. Because it is an online course, I've just made it so that as long as you complete it before midnight on the day it's listed, it will not be counted as late. Okay, so be aware of that. We'll go back to the calendar in just a bit. So the second element upon which you will be graded are quizzes. There's a quiz each week unless we have an exam on the Thursday. So if you have an exam on Thursday, you don't have the quiz. And I've made the deadline for that quiz the Friday of that week. They're all listed on the calendar. In addition, once they're posted, you'll also see them on the Blackboard calendar, which you can access looking at Blackboard. But everything is on that PDF. Now, the first quiz that you take the quizzes are short, 5 questions, some multiple choice, true, false, matching. You can take the very first quiz as many times as you'd like. So you can take it over and over again until you get 100%. However many times, I'll just take your highest grade. However, that's just to get you familiar with the format. The format will be similar to exams, although much shorter. So that's a good kind of practice also and lead up to those exams. But after the first quiz, all of the additional quizzes will be just a single time. You just log in, you take it, you complete it. You'll have ample time, about half an hour for 5 questions, really way more time than you'll need for those. And again, those are open resource. So you can use your notes, you can use, go back in and look over lectures, but you do have somewhat of a time limit, although it won't be very strict for quizzes, 30 minutes for 5 questions. At the end of the semester, I'll take your very lowest quiz grade. If you missed one, that's the freebie. If you miss more than one, it will start to impact your grade. If you take them all, that's even better than just whatever your lowest grade will be dropped from your total score. Now be aware that there are no dropped exams, so all of the exams are counted towards your final grade. And we'll look at the breakdown of how those grades are calculated here in just a little bit. So the third element of the exam that you will be graded on are worksheets. Worksheets are these last two elements, in fact, the reading assignments and the questions and the worksheets are a large component of participation, right? Exams and quizzes, of course, you'll do much better on them if you're keeping up, if you're participating actively. So there is a participation component here, but these are really more weighted towards participation. There are 5 worksheets. They're listed on the calendar, and we'll look at them. You're free, and in fact, I encourage you to work on them with a group. But please, everyone, it's not a group assignment, although you can get group help on them. So do them with a group. If you'd rather do them individually, that's fine too. But every individual needs to turn in a worksheet. Whether they worked on it individually or collaboratively, that's fine. I also will provide some guideline videos to help you with those. But if you get stuck, if you're confused or having problems, you don't need to feel like you are alone and left out. If you're having problems, make use of office hours or make an appointment. I'm happy to help you, even give you answers. I just won't say write this, but I will walk you through it and ask you questions, but help you to make sure that you know the material for those worksheets. So really there's no excuse why you shouldn't get very, very high scores, maybe even 100% on most or all of these worksheets. Okay. However, plan ahead. If you turn in a worksheet late, you will automatically be deducted 25% off of whatever your final score is for that worksheet for each day it's late. So 2 days late, the max you can get on a worksheet would be 50%. 3 days late, 75%, and you can't turn it in more than 3 days late. That would just be 100% off the top. Okay, so please be aware of those. Again, it's an asynchronous course, which is great because it's flexible, but that also means I'm going to be fairly strict about when these assignments are due. If anything comes up throughout the semester, please notify me as soon as possible. Sometimes illnesses, other emergencies come up, and we can make arrangements if you notify me and give me ample time. If it's happening over and over again, that's going to be a problem. But if it's a one time in the semester and you notify me immediately, we can often make changes in arrangements. Okay. And again, a guide video will be posted for those worksheets. The last component of the course upon which you will be graded are reading questions. And these reading questions are truly 100% participation. If you do them, as long as you're putting something relevant and not just randomly typing in words, you will get full credit for all of the reading questions. So each week there are reading assignments. Some of them are from the textbook. Some of them are additional papers or supporting material that relates to the topic we're talking about for that week. And if we have an additional reading assignment, there will also be an assigned reading questions. Those reading questions must be completed by the date upon which they are listed on the calendar. So please be aware of those. Some weeks, especially the early weeks in the class, there's one on Tuesday, there's one on Thursday. You're welcome to do those earlier. They will be posted for the entire unit. But you have to finish them by the date they are listed. If you do, you'll get full credit for them again, as long as you're putting something relevant. The textbook, again, you can use this one. There are many other good textbooks. I've used this Bergstrom and Degotkin one. That's a good textbook also. The only thing is just look at the topics and read the topics rather than just whatever the chapter number is. The reading assignments in the calendar are in reference to the 3rd edition of Zimmer and Emlyn. Okay. The reading assignments, we've just talked about this, they must be submitted on time to get credit. Now, just like the worksheets, I don't know that I've listed that here, so I'll add that to this. One of the reading questions assignments will be dropped from your final, just like quizzes. So if you miss one, it's a freebie, no big deal. But if you begin to miss 2, 3, 4, it's going to start to impact your grade. Again, these are largely participation points. So one of the reading question grades will be dropped from your overall total. Okay, so at the end of the semester, this is how I will calculate your grade. I will take all of your exams and get an average. That will be 60% of your overall course grade. Your quizzes are 15%. Again, worksheets are 15%. One of the quizzes will be dropped before I calculate that. And then your reading questions are 10% of your overall grade. So largely 25% of the class, if you're participating actively, asking questions, if you get stuck on worksheets, this is a free, kind of a free ride. You get 25% of the course just free by participating, doing it. But alternatively, if you're not keeping up, if you miss those assignments, then your grade is going to suffer. If you ever want to calculate your grade at any point in the semester, you can do that. All you need to do is figure out what your exam average is, and then times that by 0.6 or 60%, and that will give you how many points out of 60 you got for the exam portion. And then likewise, whatever your average is on the quizzes, times that by 0.15 or 15%, and that will tell you what part of that 15% you got for the quizzes. At the end of the semester, your grade will be determined as follows, fairly standard grading scale. I'm always going to have some students that fall just short of the threshold. And just to be fair, I set this at the very beginning of the semester. So you must achieve a 90% to get an A. If you get an 89.9, that's not an A. Okay, so you need to have at least a 90%. And no matter where I did it, if I round it up, I'm going to have some students that are like an 89.4 and barely missed whatever the cutoff. So the cutoff is the cutoff. And on these online courses, it really is a fairly, as long as you're participating actively, you should be able to engage, do well with the material, and hopefully do well in the course. But you must achieve at least a 90 for an A, an 80 for a B, and so on down the line. Now, a note about the online aspect of this course. We've talked about a lot of this already, so read over that paragraph carefully. Pause the video if you'd like, read over it, make sure that is clear. It's much of what we've already been talking about. The final element on the syllabus is disability assistance. This may not apply to you now. Great. If it does, let me know, communicate with me so I can make sure we can make the accommodations that have been decided are applicable to you. If it doesn't apply to you, please also, though, keep this in mind because you never know. Sometimes you may have an accident or something that comes up that means you will need to take advantage of this. And there are lots of resources and accommodations that can be made for just about any sort of circumstance that comes up. However, we do need to make sure we document it properly, that we work through the accessibility office to make sure that all of that is being handled correctly. Okay, so that's there. Make use of it if you need to. Refer to it later in the semester if you need to. Let's take another quick look at the calendar. We'll save that for later. Okay, so again, the calendar is organized by weeks. Week 1 will begin on Tuesday. You're welcome to do it earlier. That's available now, beginning on Monday, the first day of the semester. But you need to make sure that you have completed the assignments that are due that day. And again, I would recommend trying to keep up with this. If you're trying to cram everything in last minute, if you do a quick reading question but don't go over the material for that day, you're going to start falling behind. So keep up with all of these things. It will make learning much more pleasurable for you and much more efficient, and then you won't have to study and cram quite as much when it comes up to the exam. So exam dates are listed at the end of each unit. I won't have any material on that day that the exam is listed. You can take the exam again anytime during that day, so plan accordingly. If you need to get up early, it'll be there early in the morning. If you need to do it up, as long as you're doing it and finishing before midnight, you'll be able to do that exam. Again, in the right-hand corner, I have due dates, so be aware of these. Many of these, like reading questions, will also pop up. I think it's just quizzes and worksheets will pop up in the course calendar, and you'll probably get reminders for those. But these due dates for reading questions, you just need to be on top of and complete those by the date they are due. Spring break, yay. It's a little weird to have spring break. I guess it's good. Everyone needs a little bit of time off. It's just a little weird when we're in this virtual world and during the pandemic. Maybe by then it'll be a little less strict, but calendar is here. It will stay this way unless there's a major university closure or some other extreme thing going on. And if that occurs, I'll make a note. So the reading assignments, if it just has page or chapter numbers, CH1, that refers to the textbook. If it's a reading assignment that says P, that is short for paper number 1. And you will find those in the readings link over here. So we'll look at these other elements here in a little bit, but you'll find that there. So paper number 1 is by a evolutionary biologist named Dobzhansky. There it is. Paper 1, it's a PDF. You can download it, read it. Your reading questions for that day will be based off of that reading assignment. Most of these are rather short. I don't expect you to spend tons of time to memorize them and learn them, but you should read over them and get the general idea. If you want to follow up with me during office hours on any of that material, that's great. So that's what that folder is. All of the reading assignments other than the textbook chapters are posted there in this folder. Okay, so those are listed here on the course calendar. So when you see a P1, P2, you'll know where to access them. Now, in addition to the calendar, I also have a corresponding folder for each of these dates, a big folder for the unit, and then inside a subfolder for each of these dates. Those occur in the daily links folder. So this is a really great resource to help you stay organized. You can use the calendar as a general big picture for the semester, but you can also log in here. And again, it's on a Tuesday, Thursday kind of a framework, but you can click on this link for the daily links calendar. When you do that, you'll see a folder for each of the units. Mine's loading up here. There it is. So here's our first unit. I'm adding some additional material so the other units are not available yet, but they'll be available way before we begin them. So first unit, January 12th through February 2nd. You click on that, and within this folder, you will see a subfolder for each of those days listed on the calendar for Tuesday and Thursday of each week. And then you just have a reminder here in the daily links folder, a reminder about the exams. I'll also post announcements reminding you of when those exams are, and they are posted on the calendar. So you really don't have any excuse for missing those. Please stay on top of all of those assignments. So here are the subfolders that you will see in that main folder. You've got one for each date. Let's just look at the first one, but you've got Tuesday, Thursday, and so on through all of the days of this unit. When you click on this, you're going to see items, and I think there are 7 items for the first day. The first item, which I will also post an announcement for the course, is to watch this orientation video. So you may have already found this, but if not, you found it through the announcement. You'll watch this course orientation video. That's your first assignment for Tuesday, January 12th. You can do them earlier again. I recommend not cramming them all into, don't do all the week in one day or multiple weeks in one day, but try and keep up. So watch number 1. Your next assignment is to read the textbook, chapter 1, and Again, my strategy would be, if I was taking this class, you don't need to read it for complete memorization or complete mastery of all the material. Read over it, maybe even skim over some parts, and just kind of prepare your brain for the material that we'll be talking about. Okay, so you read that textbook chapter 1 as an introduction. You're then also going to read paper 1, Dobzhansky. It's available here in the readings folder. I've also posted a link for it there, so you can access papers either in the daily links folder or just look at them over here in the readings folder. Okay, so that's your third assignment for Tuesday, January 12th. The next is you need to complete, it's a reminder here, it's also on the calendar, complete, answer, and submit reading questions. I'm going to look at this just so you'll get an idea. These, again, you'll get full credit as long as you put something meaningful. So you'll click on that link. It's really like a quiz or a test, except it's open-ended, and you're going to answer 2 short questions to complete the reading assignment. I don't expect you to write essays. I don't even expect you to write a full paragraph. A couple of sentences is really enough. If you want to write a little bit more, if that helps you to understand the material, great. But really a couple of sentences is enough. So you'll get to the exam, you'll click begin, and then you'll see those 2 questions. We'll wait just a minute for this to load. So the answer to these questions are found in that reading assignment, and some of the times we'll discuss them in the upcoming lectures also. But you should be able to get this from the reading assignment. What is a scientific theory? Is the theory the same thing as a fact, right? So you would put an answer here, something like a scientific theory, is a body of data about one area of scientific research, or we could even say one area of research, right? So this is an important concept. You'll get it in the lecture also, but really this is the difference between a theory and a hypothesis, okay? And then realize that a theory is not the same as a fact. Okay, a fact is one little bit of information, and even facts sometimes, depending on the way the data is gathered, may be open to interpretation, okay? So again, a couple sentences, you can write a short paragraph. I don't need long information here. You will submit these, write this next one, answer goes here. Once you finish it, again, make sure it's relevant, that you're done the reading assignment and completed that, you're going to save and submit. And again, if you're writing those, if you're engaging in the material, writing something relevant, you'll get full credit for that as long as you complete it on the time. Okay, the remaining 2 elements in this daily links folder are video lectures. And so you'll have 2 or 3, sometimes 4 video lectures for each unit. I've broken the video lectures down into smaller bits. I think that's a little bit more engaging, a little bit more flexible for students. It also allows you to kind of do it on your own pace. You say, oh, I only have 15 minutes. I don't have time to watch a whole 45-minute or an hour-long lecture. Well, that's okay, because you just have the first one. And these are I've posted them on YouTube just because it's a nice platform that everybody uses and knows and has access. So this is the link to that YouTube video. Again, they're going to be relatively short. This one's half an hour long. That's about the max. Some of them will be a little bit longer than that.
We're going to
But
begin
15
our course
minutes,
on
you'll watch
evolution
it.
by
This is going to be the
talking
main
about a
way
simple
that you
definition.
gather information about the course. Okay. Now, I have also, if you would like to, I have also in the course made a section here for the PowerPoints. So each of those videos that you will be watching has a corresponding PowerPoint. I know some students like to print them up and take notes on the PowerPoint, or just like to follow along. The PowerPoints themselves, by intention, are fairly simple. They'll have a few keywords, they'll have pictures, sometimes a video embedded to illustrate the principle. So here's our Unit 1 PowerPoints. But they don't have it. I think it's a bad way to do a PowerPoint, is just to do lists of all of the information. So if you're trying to use only the PowerPoint to study, you're going to be in trouble. That's what the video lecture is for. But if you want it to take notes on or follow along, you can download the PowerPoints there from that folder. The next item on our list here is SLOs. SLO is an acronym for Student Learning Outcomes. In this folder, again, organized by units, you will have a list of major concepts, major topics. We'll open one up here so you can take a look at it, that you need to know for each of these units. Things in bold are definitions you should know, things to look at and review to make sure you understand the material for that chapter. Okay, so take a look at these, use them if you'd like. Another quick note. It's easy in online courses to kind of just say, oh, I'm just going to sit back and listen. I'm going to listen to Dr. Terry's beautiful voice. It's wonderful. I just want to enjoy it. I'm not going to engage with the material at all. I would highly recommend that you treat these videos as if you were in a class. Now, obviously, you're not going to be able to ask me questions right there, but take notes, right? If there's something that doesn't make sense, say, oh, highlight it. I need to go back and look that up in the test, or I need to log on to an office hour and ask Dr. Terry about this. I didn't quite understand that. There have been many studies that have demonstrated that just the simple act of taking notes helps you to integrate and learn the material much better than just simply learning it. And then, of course, you've got the notes as a resource to review and go over the next day, review for when the exam is coming up. So please treat this as if it were a regular class, even though you're doing it online, and you'll have much more success that way. And so these SLOs are a great guideline, an outline for the material you should know, help you to look at your notes and make sure you can answer all these questions, and also help you get ready for each of the exams. Okay, the remaining material here on Blackboard, let's leave that open, are worksheets. This is empty right now, but I'll put the first worksheet here very shortly, the first week. You can start on it. It's not due. Let's take a look at the calendar and see what the calendar says. I believe it's not due for about 3 or 4 weeks, that first worksheet, okay? But you can begin working on it. You won't have some of the skills yet to complete all of the worksheet, but you can begin it. You can log on. The due date is, here we go. Friday, January 29th. Yeah, so you have 3 weeks essentially before you need to turn in complete worksheet number 1. You'll be doing that through Blackboard. There'll be a link here. You have a Word document to download and complete, fill out, and then submit as an attachment for worksheet number 1. And you'll get those instructions when that worksheet posts. You also have a folder here for quizzes. It's empty, but the first quiz will appear in there. You can access quizzes directly through here. An item on the daily links for every Thursday when there's a quiz that week, you'll see an item on the daily links. Now, I've given you till Friday to take the quizzes. However, if you delay and if there's a technical issue you're trying to take it on Friday, it'll be a little harder to handle. So I recommend you take those on Thursday if you can, or early Friday morning. We can often deal with the technical issue if it arises, but please take those. The deadline for each of those will be midnight on Friday of the week. And the quizzes will cover all of the material from that week. There are a couple of them, it looks like maybe only one of them is in week 8. We only have 1 day's worth of material for quiz number 7, but for all the others, I believe we have 2 days worth of material. Okay, so everything that's done that week will be fair game for those quizzes that are due on Friday. Exams will appear in this folder. You'll be able, again, to access them on the day you take them, and then they'll stay there, and you can look up the results to your questions. Actually, I think the exams will no longer be in this folder after they're done, but you can access them and review questions by using the My Grades link and then clicking on the link for that exam once it's been graded. The final component for the course is an additional resources folder. There are a couple of things in here. The main one that we're going to be using is there's a link to the Zoom meeting that's also in the syllabus, so either you can use this one or the syllabus. There's a little thing to estimate your grade. If you don't want to calculate it yourself, you can put in percentages here. And then there's an evolution simulator that was developed by a computer science major a few years back that we use to illustrate some of the evolutionary principles. You can access that here, and you'll be referred to some of these additional resources throughout the semester. I may also post other things here if they come up. If so, I'll put in a course announcement and let you know. All right, so that covers the course, how it's going to work, how to succeed, what your resources are here. If there's anything that's unclear or any additional things you have questions on, please feel free to log in during one of those Zoom office hours or make an appointment, send me an email so we can make sure it's clear and you're ready to do well and succeed this semester.